and welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, April 17, 2019. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among a number of Caribbean and Central American countries listed for 2018 as major money laundering jurisdictions by the U.S. Department of State Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. This was pointed out in the Bureau's International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, Volume 2 of March 2019, which focus on money laundering. As we hear in this report from Larissa Pugsley-Kidd, the report, however, noted some improvements with SVG's efforts to fight this transnational crime.
U.S. International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, INCSR, March 2019 report on money laundering, though listing SVG as a major money laundering jurisdiction, indicates that the country continues to make progress with its anti-money laundering regime. The last report in 2018 stated that SVG remains vulnerable to money laundering and other financial crimes as a result of drug trafficking and its offshore financial sector that had 6,331 international business companies, IBCS, which the report said was a relatively large number for a small country. As of September 2018, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported 4 international banks, 4 international insurance companies, 14 registered agents, 94 mutual funds, 5,676 IBCS, 47 limited liability companies, and 85 international trusts. In December 2018, Parliament passed legislation legalizing cultivation and the use of marijuana for medical purposes. And the INCSR report states that drug trafficking, in particular marijuana, remains the main source of illicit funds for SVG. The report said marijuana and narcotics are reportedly transferred to speedboats at beaches on the leeward side or on the uninhabited Grenadine Islands, and that couriers carry money through the airports, ports, or other points of entry. The report, however, noted that the country has made efforts against drug trafficking by imposing strict penalties. It also noted SVG's involvement with the regional security system to coordinate border control issues and the development of its Coast Guard fleet to cover the coastline. As part of SVG's effort to fight money laundering, the report noted that in August 2018, the Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, appointed a supervisor with the responsibility of overseeing DNFBP compliance. In February 2018, the FSA, FIU, and Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, signed an MOU to facilitate collaboration, exchange of information, on-site examinations, and training. In July 2018, the ECCB performed 2 on-site evaluations of the AML-CFT program. For 2017 to 2018, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported 4 money laundering charges and 3 convictions. The 4th case has not yet been heard by the High Court. While noted that the government of SVG has reported that it is reviewing how to address gaps in the 2007 Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Amendment Regulations, the INSCR recommends that SVG becomes a part to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Reporting for SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley-Kidd.
A patient's charter will be introduced here soon, which will ensure the rights of persons visiting the various hospitals and health centers across SVG are protected. This was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at the opening of the Bucament Polyclinic on Monday. PM Gonsalves said Cabinet has already given its approval for the implementation of this new initiative.
The Cabinet has accepted a patient's charter. After lots of discussion and consultation, and this patient's charter will outline the rights of patients. Most doctors acknowledge that the patients have rights, but we are going to put them down.
The patient's charter is expected to improve overall access to health care, and PM Gonsalves said it will also ensure healthcare practitioners provide health services in a professional manner.
We are going to launch it, document all your rights in the medical field, so nobody could turn their back on you I don't want anybody say, don't get hospital at any clinic. Well, rather than tell you that, people can't talk to you anyhow they want to talk to you. We come too far to turn back now. We will have a patient's charter which will recognize the rights of the patients. We will acknowledge in that charter the rights and responsibilities of the healthcare personnel, including the doctors and the nurses.
The Prime Minister further noted that with increased access to healthcare facilities, it is hoped that more persons can become health conscious.
And we can't be doing all of these facilities. We can't be improving health as it has never improved before without something called a patient's charter. But you can't have a right unless you have an obligation. And that obligation is to take better care of yourself. And for me to take better care of myself. You can't expect to be eating any and everything and don't pay attention to a more balanced diet.
Provisions for crisis communication, the management and distribution of supplies and provisions to prevent health-related problems have been identified as crucial when dealing with natural disasters. These areas were identified by Major Curtis Denny of the SVG Cadet Force, who delivered a lecture at French's House last evening under the theme Logistical Process in Disaster Management, using the experiences gained when the Cadet Force conducted logistical services during the 1979 volcanic eruption. Major Denny said preparedness is key.
Is preparedness. Preparedness is the most important factor in the logistics framework. If adequate preparation is not there, you'll be facing significant challenges. You have to make an assessment of your vulnerabilities, the construction, coordination network, because in 1979 and before, there are some challenges. Coordination. So I would say preparation, coordination, having a proper response mechanism. And you can do that through education, through training and development, through community readiness, and having emergency plans.
Drawing reference from natural disasters in places such as Dominica and Haiti, Major Dennis stressed the importance of implementing a proper management system for the distribution of supplies.
I'm saying tonight that we need to have a plan in place that will designate how are we going to effectively distribute your relief supplies. I mentioned before about Haiti and the supplies being stuck on the docks. I think of Dominica. I think of this response to Dominica. And another issue, that you had the materials there, but the material is not in a position for distribution. So you had all of these relief supplies, but they could not reach the beneficiaries. And we said before, when we designed the logistic processes, it's about getting the right amount to the right people at the right time.
Denny said it is also important to ensure that provisions are made to avoid health problems developing after a disaster.
The challenges that you had in 1979, in the midst of the evacuation, persons were leaving home and the infrastructure, there was limited infrastructure in the schools, in the public buildings. And so that by itself created health hazards because you didn't have sufficient bathroom facilities. That will create problems. We had that in 1979. Barely, Layu. You had significant challenges with that.
Meanwhile, retired cadet Major Sinclair Leacock said the organization has a lot of potential to do good for the country. Leacock, who served with the cadet force during the 1979 volcanic eruption, says persons who serve with the cadets and the Girl Guides during such time show tremendous courage and patriotism, which the organization can nurture in today's youth.
The Girl Guides was also a very powerful movement because they helped to do a lot of the logistics work, Denny, sorting things at the, well, we virtually took over the marketing corporation, all the food stuff was stored. Fortunately, when it happened, we had marksman who was experiencing at camp, feeding people cheese and rice. And he knew where all the blankets in the country were. Bill Branch was there, the housing corporation, they had transportation. So that became available to us and to travel with us. And so when people were running from the camps, the cadets were going to the people. The ash was still hot, dropping in their place, burning out their place, burning the headgear. In fact, I think we came down from Sufri a day when the Sufri erupted the same day. But the commitment to conscience service was so strong at those times that people were prepared, especially here with us, to die here in 7 minutes. If we had to die here for 7 minutes, that's what the cadets would have done at the time. That's what the patriotism that was involved. And that's what St. Vincent really needs to go back to have a solid boot camp. That a lot of the time and energy a lot of young people wasting on the street, that they be forced in some compulsory 3 months or 2 months summer vacation training program, that we can be the first respondents to matters of Vincentian survival.
Major Leacock said the cadet force can also help foster a culture of preparedness among the people, which can help to prevent situations such as what happened in Dominica a few years ago.
Every time you have a disaster, and Dominica is a classic case in point, the recent one in the hurricane, the first time a disaster hits you, one is survival of self. 2, people start to loot. In the heat of disaster, people still want to look after themselves, pelt big stone, go into stores, secure all the food and water and drink for themselves, and the devil take the hindmost. So if there isn't a culture of disaster preparation and training, it doesn't happen spontaneously overnight, even though you have all the institutional framework.
Law Compliance and Enforcement Officer with the Forestry Department, Bradford Layton, is calling on all to join with the department in its effort to protect and preserve the natural environment. He made this call as members of the department carried out their river patrols in the Macme area on Monday. Layton said littering is a problem which affects various recreational sites across SVG and encouraged all to keep these areas clean.
Now we are close to a fall that we call the Macme Falls. It's a recent discovery, but they have been known by the locals for a long time now. And here at these falls, it is quite a nice relaxing area, but we are at Forestry. We have been doing our work to help to protect and conserve the aquatic life that are within it, and also the aesthetics. The persons who are utilizing it, we are seeing a lot of litter that is being left at this fall, and we are appealing to the public that when you utilize this, for whatever you take there, please don't leave any litter. And what you cannot remove, like say you utilize some firewood and other things like that, put them away, don't leave them that they become unsightly. Or the plastic plates, take them back and dispose of them properly.
Later highlighted the work the department has been involved with to protect these areas and preserve the environment.
Now, this area, also the intake for where we have our irrigation plant. So there's several activities. We know the importance of the rivers and the benefit to society. And what we do at the upper parts of our watershed, the farming practices, utilizing of fertilizers, the way farmers cultivate the soil to reduce irrigation. We also work closely with farmers to put in like the vetiver grass to help stabilize the riverbanks, to prevent or reduce the impact of flash floods. We know some years back we had the impact of flash flood that have affected Georgetown. We know the term they said, and the song came up, Georgetown full of wood. Now, we have a great role to play to protect all along the riverbank and streams and the aquatic life.
The Christian community here is observing this week as Holy Week as a time of reflection on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Harvest Bible Chapel is one such religious organization commemorating the week, and today hosted a prayer in the city activity in front of the Postal Corporation building in capital Kingston. Members offered prayers to several persons passing through the streets and even in different business places. Senior Pastor Al Blake from the Harvest Bible Chapel told SVG-TV News that the main reason of the prayer activity is to bring a holistic outreach to the entire nation and to remind persons of the main reason for the celebration of Easter.
Yeah, well, we believe that the effective fervent prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working. As you know, this is Holy Week, and we wanted to bless the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And what a better way to bless the people than to pray for them, right? So we have rallied our church, Harvest Bible Chapel in Annisvale, and we have decided to come into Kingston to pray for people as they pass by. And I will tell you, it's been a wonderful experience. We've been here since 9:30 this morning, and it's been non-stop going, just ministering to the needs of people, praying for them, because prayer is dependent upon God plus faith. And so the Bible also says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. So we are having our total dependence upon God as we pray for the people and the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay. Pastor Blake invites the nation to participate in activities which he said will allow them to reflect on the resurrection of Christ.
Continue throughout the Easter.
Yes. I mean, so we have been running a prayer program through our church. So on Sunday evening we had a time of prayer and worship. We're in the city today, of course, because it's Holy Week. We have what we call Good Friday service. That's going to be at 8:15 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. on Friday morning, just 1 hour at our ministry center in Annisvale. It's located right next to Options Supermarket. And then we're going to come to celebrate the greatest day in Christian history. That's Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. It's going to be a great time to come out and celebrate our risen Savior.
Assistant Pastor at the Harvest Bible Chapel, Junior Cuttle, said it is unfortunate that a lot of people do not understand the main reason why the Easter holiday is celebrated.
Okay, well, the idea of Easter being a pagan holiday may be misinterpreted from its historicity, but we know definitely that the scriptures teach that Jesus Christ died. The scriptures and scholars from many ages have been able to certify, not definitively, it's around this time that the Passion Week has been, and Jesus died and Jesus rose again. And so we don't celebrate it because of what someone else did. We celebrate it because of what the Bible teaches that this day represents. So that's our view on what Easter is.
The Venezuelan ambassador to SVG, Francisco Perez, has expressed concern with the ongoing political, social, and economic activities affecting his homeland. At a news conference yesterday, Ambassador Perez said, though Venezuelans are resilient people, the constant pressure from the international community, including the sanctions by the United States, are crippling his country. Ambassador Perez's statement comes on the heels of the 17th anniversary of an attempted coup d'etat against the then President Hugo Chavez on April 11, 2002. A failed coup d'etat saw President Chavez ousted from office for 47 hours before being restored to power.
People of Venezuela in the way of death, people are dying for the sanction. People also have malnutrition for the sanction. We cannot find and we have lack of some medicine and food for the sanction. And this is logical, you know. It's logical that if a big country decide not to allow any transaction, financial transaction with one country, and also put sanction against some companies that trade with Venezuela, like happened in Cuba 45 years ago, when it started, or 50 years ago, when it started embargo, and only a few countries helped our sister Cuba to maintain the people, so they had a big problem there.
Ambassador Perez said what is happening now in Venezuela bears similarities to what had taken place 17 years ago.
A continued COP from 2002 and until now. And we know that because the 17 years that are between 2002 and 2019, the government of Venezuela faced with all kind of intention of the United States to overthrow the President Chavez first and now the President Maduro. I have to remember you or remind you that since the President Maduro won the election the first time, and between 2017 and 2019, 5 elections were held in Venezuela, and in that 5 elections, the extremely right wing of the opposition didn't participate in that election.
Meanwhile, today we learned that the first shipment of humanitarian assistance from the International Red Cross is being distributed in Venezuela after it arrived on Tuesday. The shipment comes a few weeks after President Nicolas Maduro reached a deal with the group to deliver aid. The socialist president had previously repeatedly denied the existence of a humanitarian crisis in Venezuela. He had also blocked the delivery of aid from the U.S. and other countries, saying it was part of an imperialist plot.